Alright, I don't have any 2K hardener and I can't acquire any on a Saturday afternoon, so I'm in a really bad mood now, so I just kind of packed everything up, because if I don't have to look at it, I don't have to think about it. That's my theory and I'm sticking with it. But anyway, I just need to get something done, and shiny things have arrived in the mail, which don't actually make me feel any better. It makes me feel worse because I overspent. This was a sort of a depression made me do it. Retail therapy, I thought it would make me feel better thing, and it didn't. It's the definition of project creep. It solves an issue that shouldn't be an issue. But anyway, as you can tell by the box, it is Tilton, and it is a Tilton pedal box. If you remember, my other pedal box that I bought to mount my masters didn't fit. So what is a pedal box? Obviously it replaces the factory pedals. Why would you want to do that? Mostly geometry reasons. When you're going from power brakes to manual brakes, you need to change your pedal ratio. My car currently is 3.75 to 1, which if you watch my setting up brakes video, you'll know that it requires like 150 kilos to stop the car of pedal pressure, which is a lot. This has a 5 to 1 ratio, or it's adjustable 5 to 1 to 6 to 1, but that's adjustable by moving the pad. I don't have the freedom of space. I think I'm going to be locked in at 5 to 1, but that reduces me down to about 100 kilos of pressure to stop the car. So a lot less pressure. You can also adjust these pads wherever you want. They go side to side, up and down, change the angle. So you can set them up for heel toe braking. You can also change where the pedals start and stop. So you can have, for instance, the brake, you can have it start back there and its throw is from there to there, or you can have it come all the way forward and its throw is from there to there, depending on the angle this is mounted, where you're sitting in the car, etc., etc. So it solves a lot of issues. It takes dual masters. So you'll know that I've already bought my front and rear masters. I've matched them to the caliper sizes. And then in the bottom of this pedal, there is a bias bar in there. So it moves it over and back, and it's on a really nice ball pivot. So it pushes more on one master than the other, so I can get more front brakes or less front brakes depending on the track. You can also get a remote bias adjuster for this, so you can adjust on the fly. I didn't buy that because I already overspent on this by like a lot. And I mean, this isn't a 10/10 race car. It's like a 4/10 track car, so it's probably going to be pretty much a set and forget on the brakes. I'm not going to need to do small tweaks to things, but I don't know. If I do, I can fit it later. But anyway, so it solves my problem of deleting the ABS and the booster. It solves my issues of, brake bias adjustment, master cylinder mounting locations, and that kind of thing. It does raise some issues for me though. First of all, it also gets rid of my clutch, so now I need a clutch master. And it also is cable throttle. I opted for you could get a cable throttle or e-throttle. E-throttle was an extra $240, which I didn't want to spend. And I don't know anything about throttle bodies in these cars. It is a Bosch unit. No, it's not actually. I think it's a Vallejo. But anyway, I don't know anything about the units in these. I don't know how tunable it is with the Haltech. So the ultimate aim in this car is to go Gen V throttle bodies, which are cable. So I figured I'd go cable for my end goal, and in the meantime I could just get a cable throttle body and bolt it on there and put a cable in there. I thought it would be cheap because a cable throttle's a very basic unit, but they're actually very, very expensive. So I've kind of shot myself in the foot there. But I did believe at the time that I could just remove this and leave my factory throttle pedal in there. It's still an option. I can still do that, and I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future. Other issues is obviously now I need to fit this in to the car. There's the floor comes along and then up through here, and then my factory pedals are sort of here. So somehow I need to move this further back in the car than where the flat part of the floor is, where it naturally wants to mount. So I don't know if that's going to be possible or not. This is probably the least common design, putting the masters under your feet. And it does mean that you're going to be lifting your heels up. But when you take the carpet and underlay out of a car, you do drop anyway. And I already had this heel plate made up to lift my feet back up so I could comfortably use the pedals. And it's not much of a height difference anyway. So like this almost works as a heel plate. So I'm not lifting my heels much more than I naturally would, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get this back as far as the factory pedals. So I'm going to be moving it forward, and I would like it to go down to try and get it further away from me. Otherwise I'm going to be cramped up in the car. But I think that's going to be the compromise that I have to make for geometry reasons. I probably should have just made my own mount to put the masters up where the factory booster is, and just bent the pedals because they are a metal pedal. I could have bent them to where I needed them, and that's what I should have done. This is probably going to be more work, more cost, more everything, but in the end I'm told it'll be better. I don't know, I've never had a pedal box before. So anyway, I guess we try and mount this thing and see where we end up. Let's do it. Alright, I understand you guys aren't going to be able to see anything, but unfortunately I need to get my fat head in to work. And I can't fit a camera and a fat head at the same time, so... That's way too close. I need to go back a long way. I mean, I can drive like that, but it's not super comfortable. Factory pedals are right. Kind of like where they are. Update. Let me zoom you in a hair here. So, I don't know what you can actually see down there, but the floor comes in flat and then it ramps up. And I've pushed the pedals back to where the brake and clutch, the bottom of the pedal is actually touching the floor up the front there. And as you can see, the accelerator's back a little bit. It needs to come further forward, but it's moved my pedals up about 30 mil at the bottom. So the center of the pedal is up there, maybe 20, 30 mil, but it's moved them forward a good 50, 60 mil, which is not good. My seat cannot go any further back. It's already hitting the roll cage. I can drive like that. I jumped in and tested it, but I am quite cramped. The factory pedals are in a good position, which is pretty much why I set the seat where it is. Okay, we're coming in freehand here. So I've pushed the box back into where I want it to get the pedals basically in the same place as factory, and they need to come up 30 mil up this here. So that would mean that, you know, as well as there being this amount of thickness, it would be an extra 30 mil, which is not really an option. So I've jacked the car up. If you see this row of spot welds here, when we jump under the car, that row of spot welds is basically the flange of this rail here, spot welded on. Now that rail there stops here, and then there's this rail here which goes back and stops here. None of them actually run through to the back of the car. The main strength of the car front to rear is in these sills, or there's a high tensile thing under that cover. So what that rib actually does, I don't know. Stops the car from snapping in half or something, I don't know. So there's a few holes there, and I've done a bit of exploring inside. And you've got this flange here, that flange on the inside there, that flange on the inside there, and then another one on the back side over there. All of them are gonna come up under the floor, sort of basically there, and there, right where I want to cut. Up the front side here, it gets a little more complicated because I really don't know what's going on. But you can see that that shape there is not the shape that I've got inside. So, and then this is the main rail that takes the engine mounts and the crash beam and everything up the front. So I don't really want to be cutting into any of that, but I don't honestly see another solution. The only other solution, which is the one that I was going to go with originally and I should have stuck with, was a a bracket, I think I told you about it, that actually goes up where the booster and masters currently are, which holds 2 masters, but that created its own set of engineering hassles. This seemed easier at the time because, as you can tell, the factory pedals are still not in a great position. Like, the throttle is so much further back than the brakes. I would have had to have, and these are really close, I would have bent this over and back. And so I think I'm just going to have to cut up and around here and just see. Okay, marked out where I need to cut. That's my ideal cut. That's to clear the accelerator, but it's quite a ways off the ground, so I really only need to cut that. As you can see, there's that row of spot welds right across there, so that's just absolutely beautiful. Hope it's not important, because it's gone bye-bye. Okay, I've had a few weeks to squat on this and fester my thoughts, and I have decided that I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to do the full cut. So I don't know how well I explained it because it was a while ago, but basically the floor comes through flat and then has this angle on it, and the pedal box obviously hits on that angle, and it needs to go back 50 more mil to get where I want to be comfortable. 50 mil forward, I think, is where the subframe mount is, or it's into the subframe mount. So I can either go up 30 mil and get my 50 mil back and not have to modify the floor at all, but that means lifting the pedals another 30 mil, lifting my heels 30 mil, which is kind of uncomfortable and I kind of don't like it, but it is a last resort option that does exist. If I can cut something out of the floor and drop it down, that will help. The other option is I can go halfway back, not modify the subframe mount, I get 25 mil back, and then when I set the pedals up, I can lean the pedals back a little bit to get the extra 25 mil and just lose some of the throw in the pedals, which is an option. It's not a great option because it means that instead of the pedals being like a good linear push, it means that they'll be up like a downwards push, and my heels will be up, so won't be great for comfort. And I think just for the struggle of a few days work to be more comfortable in the car is probably worth it. My main drama for not wanting to do this is the fact that I can't do all the work from above. I'm gonna have to do work under the car, especially if I have to change that subframe mount, and I can't lift the car to work on it, so I need to put it up on jack stands and I need to lay on my back and grind and weld under the car, which, if you remember, is my least favorite thing to do. Or is it? There's probably worse things to do on a car, but I'll be hard pressed finding something. I really hate working under a car. But yeah, at the way I stand at the moment, I've got 0% chance of moving the pedals to exactly where I want them. If I start cutting, I increase my chances of getting the pedals where I want them. It's not much, it's maybe a 30% chance this is gonna work and 70% chance that I'm gonna have to compromise, but 30% is better than 0%, and I won't know until I cut. And if possible, I would like to reuse the piece of floor that I'm cutting. So if I can cut up and around and down, and then maybe peel it back, cut out whatever's underneath, and then fold it down and make that my new floor, that's going to be a lot easier than fabricating a whole piece. So if I only cut halfway up and then drop it and then decide to do the rest of the cut, I'm going to need to do a lot more fab work. So I'm going to do the full cut, peel it up, and see what works. And I'm going to stop explaining it to you and just do it because this is boring and you don't care. But before I can do anything, I need to remove the seat, the steering wheel. I'm going to have to take the dash out because I need to get these old pedals out of the way. So let's do it. you guys went flat there to some extent, so I don't know what you missed, but anyway, I have cut that. I realized it was a bit of a pipe dream to be able to like just cut it and then drop it down. So I've cut the whole thing out. Now I'm about to start trying to prise it out of there. It's a bit dark to see, but I'm gonna need to drill those spot welds out of there, obviously. So I'm gonna really quickly do that and then start prying, but I'm gonna have to put you guys back on charge. So unfortunately, you're gonna miss that riveting bit of footage. I don't know why it took me every tool that I have to get to this point, but it did. And I'm immediately regretting my decisions. I should have just mounted some master cylinders up there and been done with it. But anyway, side note, that lump is 8.5 kilos. So that's actually pretty good to get rid of, considering I'm putting about 2 kilo back in. So weight savings. Let's go. Okay, just a really quick side project. So I need to drill out some spot welds. I can't find my spot weld cutter. I have also made a spot weld drill in the past and I cannot find that either. So I will make another one. Now, basically what you want to do is you want to cut flat, as opposed to, obviously this is cutting on a taper like that. You're going to punch through because you're drilling about 1 millimeter deep. So this is going to, you know, obviously be through the bottom of the steel plate before you get to the sides. This is just a 10 mil drill that I found lying around. I've got a couple of them, so I'm going to sacrifice this. So I need to cut basically from that point to that point straight across, but leave just a little pilot in the middle so that it doesn't walk. And that is what I'm going to do. All right, so for initial chips, that's all right. You can see it's cutting on the outside a little bit faster than it's cutting in the middle, which is not a huge deal because that's essentially you want to cut that ring out there. However, it's cutting a little bit slow for my liking, so I'm just going to go give it another touch on the grinder, sharpen that chisel up a little bit more, and we will have a winner. Okay, got that bit of floor out. It's probably not as bad as it looks. There's a lot there, and I knew that there was going to be a lot there, which is the reason that I didn't want to take this out. But this piece here, I don't think is necessary. I guess it's just to strengthen up the floor here, because you're putting a lot of weight here getting in and out of the car, which won't be a drama now that it's a race car. This here is the chassis, essentially. It goes all the way from the radiator support, comes along under the floor, but it stops just here. This is the end of it. So it's basically to stop the car wanting to bend at this point, which I've got a roll cage for that now. So it's still important to the structure of the car, but I can take some of it out and put the strength back in really easily. This part here is my main drama, and the options are either come back up to it or I can go over it, which that over it will give me, you know, a little bit lower than what it was going to be had I've gone all the way up, or back will get me sort of halfway back to where I want to be. Both of them are compromises of about 30 mil. I can either go be 30 mil higher than I want to be or 30 mil further forward than I want to be, neither of which are ideal. So option number 3, which is the hardest but the best, will be to cut into this, which there's really nothing to about here in it. It's completely hollow. That's my suspension pickup point. That's my subframe mount. The subframe does actually sort of stick out sort of around that, like that. And I can also nip a bit of the ear of the subframe off, so I can cut back to about here if I really, really, really wanted to and get all the distance. However, it depends on how much effort that I want to go to. And I'm sorry, you're not on the gimbal, I'm just freehanding this because it's late. So that's the options that I have. I will put the seat back in and mock up several different options and test them out and see what is gonna work and how much I need to do. But that'll be next weekend because, as you can tell, it's late. I'm pretty drunk, so over it. Gonna finish this, think about that, and we'll hit it again next weekend. And as always, I'll bring you along for the journey. Let's do it. update. So I've mocked everything back up in the car, put the seat, put the steering wheel back on, and I've shoved the pedal box in there. That's my old false floor. It's a little bit low for this. The pedal box actually sticks it up a little bit higher, so you can see it's on a slight bit of an angle, but worked enough for mock-up. And that is exactly where I want the pedals. Well, it's not. That's where they're going to go, because that's as close to where I want as I can get them. My knees are bent. They're up under the steering wheel here. It's not ideal, but it's the best that I can do, because, you know, my seat's already touching the roll bar, and I'm already in the subframe here. So I can actually, when I do the masters and that, I can actually shorten the length of the push rods and actually lean the pedals back a little bit, because there is a lot of throw in those pedals. And when they're basically at full compression, they are actually touching the floor at the back, which was where the original pedals were. They've just, I think, got a longer throw than the original ones. So I will probably adjust that, sit them back a little bit further. I can adjust the angle of the pad so that it matches where it is a little bit better. I could, even if I wanted to, like lean it back a hair, so lift it up at the front, but I think that's probably going to make things worse. So yeah, that's, like I said, that's as far back as I can go. I'm hitting the actual subframe now, so if I get that out of the way, just had it sitting on. So that's the actual subframe there. I can possibly go back a little tiny itty bitty bit further, but I need to obviously come through here and up to there with some strengthening material. So I think I'm pretty well cooked on that. So now it is a matter of putting strength back in here. So that's going to be a lot less than fun, because it's going to mean getting in here and cleaning up all these surfaces, cutting pieces of steel that fit, and then welding them in. I think I'm going to go with 3mm for everything. So I'll come down from here to here with 3mm, box this in with 3mm, box this end in of the chassis rail with 3mm, and then I'll actually bring this piece of this still. I might bring this back into the original floor and tie back into here, because it's double layer there. I'll re-triangulate everything in, because I've taken most of this out. There's not a lot of it left, so I kind of want to put something back in. I also do have a little bit of 5mm over there I could probably use, but this is 3mm originally, so I think it'll be fine. If I do have dramas, it'll make itself apparent when I start driving it. If that starts to twist, then we can readdress it then. But I think 3mm will be more than fine for what we're doing here. It's going to have a lot more steel in it than what it did, because yeah, this piece here, if you remember, just sort of came from there to there and then was spot welded to the floor in 3 spots. So I'm actually going to tie it back into over here and tie it into here and up into there. So I think it'll be better. I'm not an engineer, but whatever.